Oh, thank you for your patience. How's it going, everyone? And what I assume is going to be a massive online audience at 1 a.m. on a Saturday. Hello to anyone watching over the interwebs. How are things on the other end of the tubes? I can't actually interact with any of you, so just hi.
You told me to tell you.
So we had a slight technical difficulty with some of our videos, but we're going to play one now just for a little bit of fun while we're waiting for these last couple of minutes to get ready, as I make sure that the speakers are going to the right place.
Apologies if you're blasted against the wall. We had it in a nice PowerPoint. PowerPoint is not playing nice with us today, so we're going to manually do this. There it is. That is the sweetheart of the Kumamoto Prefecture, Kumamon, and I apologize for the earworm. He has like a whole line of like CDs and children's songs, and we're gonna touch on him a little later. He's one of my favorite mascots that's come out of Japan recently.
And if we have some time at the end, we'll pull up some of our other videos. We've got a lot of awesome content to talk about regardless. And I'm gonna call it at 12:59. It's close enough to 1 a.m. We're gonna start. Yeah, oh my goodness.
We don't usually have this many issues. It's just decided to be special tonight.
Okay, there we go. All right. I don't know what is up with tonight. We're being cursed. But you know what? It's a blessing that we're all here. We're back at anime conventions. I hope everyone here in person and online is having an amazing time with Zenkaikon. We missed anime conventions, and it's so good to be back. We were a nerdy couple. I'm Dan.
And I'm Linda.
You can find us on Twitter and Facebook, where we tweet a couple times a year when we go to anime conventions, and pretty much nothing in between because we both have full-time jobs.
We've recently most actively been on Twitter because it's just easier to use than Facebook at the time right now. And no one likes the metaverse.
So we do conventions of kind of around the East Coast, Central Tri-State area, mostly like Pennsylvania, a little bit of Maryland, DC. Setsucon, Zenkaikon right here, Otakon. If you like us, please give us some positive feedback so that they keep asking us back because we love being here.
And we are locals to Lancaster area, yay! Alright, so just a quick disclaimer while we get started here. While we do our best to make sure all our information is accurate, up to date as possible, we're not historians, we don't live in Japan. What we get is kind of like secondhand information. We try to make sure all our info, again, is accurate as of this panel, but everything changes day to day. So just take everything with a grain of salt, so to speak. Just our opinion is not fact. Your opinion might differ. Maybe you don't like Kumamon here. You just think he's it. It's a bear. What does that have to do with anything?
He's setting everything on fire. That's awesome.
So just so you know, the panel, we're fans for the fans. If you disagree with us, that's perfectly fine. So to start off, what exactly are these crazy things run in Japan that you pretty much see everywhere? Every city, every town, at one point it's almost like every individual has this big bobbleheaded character running around. So the easiest way to define a mascot is a character used to represent a place or a region, or even an event like a school festival or a new zoo opening. I've seen them. They're used to stimulate tourist and brand recognition. Because look at that thing. You want to hug it. You want to squeeze the crap out of it. They often appear as costume characters in festivals and events, and they're very simplified design. If you look at those, it's a little different. Well, the Pokemon are a little different, but they're very big chibi heads, big goofy movements, and they need to incorporate something special about the event or the landmark or whatever they're representing. You can't just draw a stick figure and call that, yep, that's my mascot, $100 please. They need something specific about them to generate tourism and capital.
So over the last decade or so is when the mascot industry has really started to take off compared to before. Mascots are reaching some pretty crazy levels of celebrity status and getting thousands or even tens or hundreds of thousands in tourist revenues for some of these relatively small towns, just because their mascots are so iconic and famous. And as a whole, the industry has earned over $16 billion as of about 2012. And that's dollars, not yen.
Yeah, that's only gone up in recent years, as far as I can tell. I mean, you can see again, Kumamon here, he's got plushies, he's got keychains, he's got stationery, he had a YouTube channel, he's like everywhere. So the mascot character in Japan is called a Yurukara. Comes from the name Yurui, which means laid back, kind of goofy. Again, those oversimplified movements, you know, they're just like, oh, look at this silly little thing, you don't know how to walk. And there is a subcategory called the Gotachikara, and it means it's reserved for like the local characters or a city region mascots. We'll get into Sento-kun here, which represents the Nara of the Deer Prefecture. That's one thing that stands out. And then again, the Buddhism religion in that prefecture. And just wait till you see how they screwed that one up. But
it is a doozy.
It's that characterization is reserved for that city or prefecture itself. And the term was coined in the early 2000s by Jun Mura. And it's also kind of seen as like a negative connotation. It's one of those double meaning words. It's be seen as, well, that means the character's lazy or they're weak. I don't want something like that representing my hometown. But a lot of people mostly see it as positive. They're just kind of goofy and fun.
So there are basically three main requirements for a mascot to be classified as a Yurukara. The first is that the character must convey a strong message of love for their hometown, or whatever it is they are particularly representing. It has to have a feel, you know, even if the character itself is a little goofy, the idea is that it is a representation of whatever it's representing. The movements have to be a little unique, a little unstable and awkward. That's why you very rarely see mascots just, you know, properly walking down the road. They're usually some kind of wobbling or bouncing, or their arms are waving.
They usually have handlers with them just to make sure they don't hurt themselves or run into things. And we get into that a little later, the training they have to go through to wear these costumes, because it's not easy. You got a head 6 times bigger than yours banging into things, and it's not like wearing a safety helmet. It hurts.
And kind of the final requirement is they're supposed to be a little unsophisticated, a little weird, but very lovable. You know, that's the whole idea, is no matter how out there they are, they're supposed to be a fun, lovable character.
So why are these mascots so popular? Why are you seeing them everywhere, besides the fact that the almighty yen is popping up everywhere? One thing I found out was interesting was if there's a language barrier. If you go to Japan and you don't speak a lick of Japanese and you still see these big colorful characters walking around, they have ones like with safety characters on them saying, you know, don't walk here. If he's holding a big red sign, you see this big goofy character saying, don't come in here. You're not going to walk into that pothole and fall down the manhole. There could be ones pointing to restrooms and helping you out. You know, it's almost like a universal language, so you don't have to be fluent in Japanese to understand what's going on. Another thing again, advertising. They generate revenue, they generate recognition for the prefecture they represent, and a lot of times they can represent free advertising. They can appear at local festivals, they can get FaceTime with your fans, you can take selfies, and it generates popularity for your character on social media. They recognize that character, oh, I saw that at the zoo, I saw that at my school festival, and they gain followers that way. Some of them even get postcards sent to them every New Year, and they will send some back to you. They have that many fans. Cheeton, I know, in particular, has tons of postcards he posts every year. It's crazy. Also, with branding and brand loyalty, the more you see of this mascot, the more you're going to buy their products, their keychains, they have sake-themed credit cards. I mean, who hasn't heard of Hello Kitty and Sanrio? That's just the power of the recognition.
So there are a few interesting and unique things with Japan's mascot culture. The big one is how popular it's become, and that's really regardless of things like age, gender, economic demographics. It's the kind of thing where it really is a major force in Japan for everyone. It's also one of the things where they tend to break the cultural taboo of personal space, which is a much bigger deal in Japan. A lot of like intimate physical contact, even things like hugs or handshakes are fairly uncommon unless it's a very close familial setting. But the mascot's kind of goofy, awkward appearance and the fact that they are supposed to be a little unsophisticated and weird makes them a lot more approachable, and things like hugs and close pictures like that are a lot more common than they would be with another actual person. So it's kind of another thing that makes it a unique experience when you're actually interacting with them rather than just interacting with a representative of a company.
I know a common greeting in Japan between like business people or even everyday people is you would bow and hand them your business card. You wouldn't do that to a mascot. I mean, you're going up to Pikachu and say, here, I'm an electrical engineer, I'm a graphic designer, and it's like, no, come here, give me a big old hug, you're from my childhood. You know, it's very intimate, very personal, and just breaks all those barriers and stereotypes within the culture.
That said, while we don't have any in this panel, I would be willing to bet some serious money that there is a business card mascot out there somewhere.
So who creates these characters? Where do they come from? They are usually amateur artists because, again, they kind of start as like chunky, unprofessional drawings because that adds the oversimplified, the chibi look that everybody loves, and then they kind of get refined as they go on. Here we just have some basic pictures of mascots that exist in Japan. They're very round. Even the pointy tree character, he's got like little rounded edges on him, so he's not seen as dangerous or hazardous. Again, they look very childlike, they're very charming, and for government mascots, again, they have to represent something in that prefecture. Like, if your prefecture's known for apples, maybe you'll have an apple mascot with a little worm coming out of it. If you're known for a great view of Mount Fuji, you could have some kind of mountain range. You can't just pick, like, this water bottle. I like the water bottle, Brita is now my mascot. You can't just pick that. There has to be a little thought behind some of these. Most recently, we have the Tokyo 2020 Olympic mascots. They have like the little sakura petals on, I think she was the para-Olympic one. And then Japan, the regular mascot has more of like the refined squares and everything. So again, that's just a modern example. Does anyone follow HoloLive, the VTubers? Small Ame? You see Small Ame running around?
Hello, my fellow degenerates.
Oh my gosh, if we could get her, maybe if we had time at the end to play her video. But Small Ame was actually a fan creation of the HoloLive VTuber girls. And I think she was done by Wolfie, just a very simplified chibi version of her. That version got so popular within the fandom, the artist was commissioned and they actually made a giant bobblehead figure of this thing, and was running around HoloLive Expo last Thursday, I believe?
Yeah, last weekend.
Last weekend, like that recent, and she just took off on Twitter. Everyone loves her, they love her handler. I've heard her handler now is best girl. Like, it's just insane about this thing, and then someone let her in the booth with the target shooting, so now we have a mascot with a gun waving it around. I mean, thank goodness it's not a live gun, it's a target practice gun, but it just shows you how these fandoms can take hold of something and not let it go, and you just identify with that.
And it's really the kind of thing that couldn't happen if this culture of these mascots and these chibi versions of characters was not such a huge thing in Japan. It's one of those things where otherwise it just would not have been possible.
And there were other mascots there that represented other mascots.
Yeah,
I remember there was like Shuba's mascot was the duck. They had like a face-off.
Ollie's zombie.
Ollie's zombie was there.
You know, what we thought was cool about the character though was that it was a fan creation that transformed into an official mascot. I mean, it's crazy how that can happen. But while that's a positive tale of mascots, sometimes mascots go wrong.
So we're gonna look here at the tale of poor Zenkaikon. So Sento-kun was created to celebrate the 1300th anniversary of Nara Ayaka capital in 2010. The city is very famous for their temples. This is kind of where the start of Buddhism in Japan happened. The people feel very strongly there's a religious energy. They adopt deities as their protectors. There are numerous deer in the city. These are the ones where you feed them and they will bow to you. And then the little ones come up and you bow to them, and then the big one kicks them out of the way and he wants the cracker. And it's a whole thing. Talk to Uncle Yo about that.
So if anyone here was at Uncle Yo's panel earlier, or for those watching online, watched it while it was streaming, he talked about his interesting experience, given that the relationship to deer in Pennsylvania is very different from the relationship to deer in Japan.
We're not as friendly, and these are compact deer. They're not the big whitetail stinkers we have running around where we live. But anyway, again, the deer bow to tourists. They believe they're spiritual. They're treated with respect. They're seen as protectors. So it's a very religious heavy city. So they wanted something to kind of, embrace that.
So they decided to have a contest by the ad agency Dentsu to vote on the city's mascot. The winning design was done by a guy by the name of Satoshi Yamauchi, a sculptor and professor at the Tokyo University of the Arts. The name was chosen out of over 14,000 applicants, and it was spent over 5 million yen, which was about $47,000 USD, in tax money to buy the copyright on Sento-kun.
He's not bad, but people were not really impressed by this.
Because while the sculpture isn't too bad there, it's kind of cute, some of the art got a little weird. And
this is supposed to represent the Buddhist spirit, a young boy with deer antlers, but unfortunately it caused a massive uproar, and petitions have even been circulating to get him removed as the mascot. They just called him blasphemous, he's ugly, someone called him monster-like, he's gross, he's seriously gross. And people who are okay with this must have nothing to do with faith. And it actually was discovered there was a scandal involved with this creation. That's the next slide. Okay, so anyway, with the scandal, it turns out this was actually all pre-planned out. The city had already picked Sento-kun as the mascot. There was actually no contest, it was all a facade. So they basically took your tax dollars, ran with it, and said, oh yeah, he was created just for the city. And no, they already had this pre-planned and kind of made it look like it was a contest to begin with. So kind of in reaction to that, people created their own mascot. This is Shikamaru-kun, and he was created for the Nara City Tourist Association. They liked this one so much better. He was a fan favorite, and they want him to replace Sento-kun. He basically represents the deer that kind of roam around the prefecture that you would expect to see instead of a Buddha baby with antlers. He's seen as very cute, very cuddly. Again, the big head, the kind of ooh expression. You want to come up and hug it, and pet its little antlers, and just love on it. And again, he embodies the city's deer, and they thought this would make better marketing material, and people would want to put this. Say the kids want to take his little cheeks and pinch him.
Compared to the
cutie.
Weirdly realistic Sento-kun we saw just on the last slide.
It's almost like, which one would you want in your bedroom, looking at you at midnight? I want the deer, but that's just me. You still can get plushies of both. You can get keychains of Sento-kun. But in the end, so again, the mascot creation come wrong. There was also another one, the little potato there. Mento-kun was actually created as another replacement for Sento-kun. He's a big roly-poly deer. He has the temple hat because they wanted to kind of get Buddhism in there with the deer again, maybe get a little closer to the religion. And he is greatly supported by the shops who think he's going to sell better, and they want to be represented by the little potato deer. But Sento-kun is still the official one.
Man, that thing is weird. But as you kind of saw with the deal with Sento-kun and Mento-kun and Shikamaru-kun, there's actually a problem where there are too many mascots going on in Japan. It's overflowing with it to the point where the finance ministry had to actually crack down on how much excessive mascotting was being paid for by public funds. Because it was starting to get like, okay, there's your prefecture, that's fine, your town, that's fine, your organization, okay, your street, that's maybe getting a little much.
And all this was publicly funded. It was your tax dollar money. Imagine that going to like the Philly Fanatic or
Gritty.
I just put Gritty, but that's just the Penn State Lion. You know, even though he's school funded, but something like that. Like, and then you go home and your street got together, your crime watch, and they're like, hey, guess what? We now have this Scruff McGruff lookalike, and we're gonna pay for this, even though we're like a nonprofit. It was just. You spend the money elsewhere.
So there were attempts as recently as 2015 to kind of limit mascot creation because the municipal budget's being used for it. And like, for instance, Osaka by itself had close to 100, they had 92 mascots. So over 20 of them wound up getting cut to try to really find the only ones that were working, that were really recognizable, bringing in the money, that maybe weren't very redundant. Just to try to make it so that they felt more special and unique instead of being completely oversaturated.
But there is a positive side to having too many mascots. Round them all up and have a popularity contest. So in 2010, the first ever event was held to determine Japan's most popular mascot. The winners included Hikwan-yan, I think it's right there, and Japan's sweetheart Kumamon.
Kumamon.
So they actually did set 2 world records in 2013 for the largest mascot dance. There were 134 mascots just dancing around to a choreographed number. And then the largest gathering of mascots was 376 at the 4th annual Yuyukara Summit, which is what the whole event itself was called the Yuyukara Grand Prix. It's still held to this day. I don't know if they had it during the pandemic, but up until at least 2019, they're still holding this.
So in 2018, there were, because of some of those efforts to kind of trim the mascots back, there were only a little over 900 mascots who participated, while there were closer to 1,200, about 1,157 the year before. And this number, keep in mind, only accounts for the number of mascots there who participated in the Grand Prix, not the actual total number of mascots in Japan. You know, think about, you know, areas that might decide to only send 1 or 2 of their 30 local mascots out to this big event, and that should give you an idea of just how many there can be across Japan, and it's always shifting as ones are added and removed.
And in addition to just winning prizes, you win recognition. I mean, Kumamon won one year, and you can just find him throughout Kumamoto Prefecture and even Japan. I think I've even seen him at Daiso recently. Like, he is everywhere. You get the recognition, you get, like, it's to your benefit to send your mascot to here to bring money into your prefecture.
But while arguably Kumamon is one of the most famous or popular mascots in Japan, probably one of the most well-known internationally is, of course, Hello Kitty.
So now we're going to take a quick look at some of the more popular mascots and kind of where all this originated from. So everyone is familiar with Hello Kitty, or has at least heard of the Sanrio company. She was created in 1974 by Yuku Shimizu, and Sanrio kind of wanted to start a fashion line. They want something cute, something gift-giving, something you can give to someone and be like, oh my gosh, thank you, it's very cute, thank you so much. And she first appeared on the vinyl coin purse, right there, which we have pictured. And her name is Kitty White. She was born on November 1st, and her official breed is an Anthro-Japanese bobtail from Great Britain. I believe there's still a big argument if she is a cat or not. I say she's a cat, but Sanrio is like, no, she's a British citizen. So Britain was very trendy in the 1970s, so that's why they made her British. And she's got very simplified color palette, just the red, white. I think she also has a yellow shirt in some of them I've seen. The primary color is plus white. It's very easy to reproduce, very minimal printing effort.
Didn't you tell me that these are actually pretty expensive to find, these original vinyl Hello Kitty purses from when she first came out?
These purses can range anywhere from $500 to thousands of dollars if you have a genuine original, because not a lot of people, they've survived since the 70s. A lot of people have them as gifts and use them heavily because they loved them.
So, while that's when she started in Japan, her big debut came a couple years later in 1976 here in the States. Many who represent the kawaii, cute culture coming out of Japan. Eventually, over the next couple years, she hit her height of popularity during the 90s, but it is now still popular but marketed a little more as kind of a retro thing.
It just makes me feel old because I remember in the 90s when she was at the height of her popularity.
She's been on everything from clothes, CDs, toys, household items, anything you could think of, she's been branded on it somewhere, to the point where she is the second highest grossing mascot brand at over $80 million, and is only surpassed by the entirety of Pokemon.
So she is also seen as the symbol of friendship of Japan because, look at her, she's adorable. With no mouth, she is not bound to any one language. She speaks any and all languages and is a friend to everyone. And actually in 2008, she was named the official ambassador of Japanese tourism in China and Hong Kong. And this is the first time a fictional character has ever held a public office. Was to Miss Hello Kitty.
But like we said, Hello Kitty has actually been beaten out by one brand, and that is Pokemon. In particular, everyone's favorite electric rodent, Pikachu, the official mascot of the Pokemon Company. He was created in 1996 by Game Freak by an individual by the name of Atsuko Nishida, and the design finalized by the famous Ken Sugimori. The name is a combination of two Japanese onomatopoeia words, pika being that electrical charge sound, and chu being a cute little mouse noise, also sounds like a little kiss on the cheek. It's a very cute thing, and it's based off of kind of a squirrel mouse design. I remember it was a lot more rodent-like in Pikachu's original incarnations, where it was kind of a much rounder and fatter kind of design. But they wound up kind of streamlining it as it took over as the most popular mascot for the company, and is what we're more familiar with now today.
There's also rumor that Pikachu is based off of the Daifuku, which you see there, the little mochi with the apple ears. Sketches of Daifuku-chan unfortunately have been lost, so it is just a rumor at this point. But he also, in the beginning, shared the mascot position with Clefairy, but the yellow mascot tested better with children or moms, I think because of the bright colors and, you know, pink is kind of associated with the girl color, so it probably tested better with children of all ages and moms as well. And at the time, there were no other yellow mascots besides Winnie the Pooh. I mean, you have Mickey Mouse, but it's a black and white mouse compared to a yellow mouse. The yellow mouse is going to get my attention.
Yeah, it helped it stand out when, you know, if you're in a sea of mascots and there's only two of them that are yellow, it's going to be easy to pick them out. And man, Pikachu has been everywhere and on everything. You know it, I know it, we've all seen it. Time magazine ranked Pikachu as the second best person of the year in 1999. It's considered the most beloved animated character since Hello Kitty. And is often referred to on the level of being a Japanese Mickey Mouse equivalent. And along with 10 other Pokemon back in 2014, Pikachu actually was sent as Japan's official mascots to the FIFA World Cup. I mean, this guy's everywhere.
And especially now with Arceus and everything coming out, I think he's been in almost every Pokemon game I can think of.
Just think how popular this has been, that Pokemon is still the powerhouse brand that it is today. I mean, not a lot of game brands really have that kind of staying power, especially when it's just kind of really sold on its cuteness and design.
Does anyone remember this guy? Domo-kun? Okay, good. More people than I thought, actually. Domo-kun was actually the mascot, or he still is the mascot, of NHK Japan, which is a publishing broadcaster. I need to fix that spell. So he was created in 1998 by Tsuno Goto, just kind of by sketching shapes that made him happy. Again, even though he has teeth, they're a little rounded, they're slightly rounded. He's not a square, technically, he's like an oblong. He's got rounded corners, so he doesn't appear vicious. He first appeared in a stop-motion advertisement that celebrated NHK's 10th anniversary. His favorite food is nakujaga, which is like a beef stew, and his least favorite food is apples. So these things get all these personalities, like just built into them just from drawing shapes on a napkin that make you happy.
And he's got some unique items and backstory. Apparently, Domokun is known to pass gas and sweat when he's very nervous. It's believed that he hatched from an egg and currently lives underground with an elderly rabbit by the name of Mr. Usagi. He appeared on the Japanese 2channel and ASCII forums. 2channel was one of the earliest web forums for Japan.
Similar to 4chan, but not as naughty.
Beginning in 2002, he started showing up on Newgrounds animations. Who remembers Newgrounds? Okay, cool, you don't make me feel ancient, it's not just us. Started in a Flash game known as Domokun Angry Smash Fist, which actually won a User's Choice Game Award.
He was actually one of the mascots in 2008, got a TV show produced by NHK, and it aired on Nickelodeon called Domo TV. He's been in several 7-Eleven commercials, and Target in 2008 even picked him up as their Halloween mascot. In September of 2009, Tokyo Pop published a manga with him. Again, just seeing how this can spread with popularity. Hot Topic and Urban Outfitters also started carrying Domo merchandise at the time. Mainstream US outlets, you know, so that money is going back to NHK for the licensing. He's not as seen much just today, but he did help pave the way for mascots in modern media.
Now, we saw him bouncing around earlier. We got to talk about Kumamon.
So, what exactly makes Kumamon? He is one of the more unique mascots of Japan. He was created in 2010 by the government of the Kumamoto Prefecture to promote the new Kyushu Shinkansen line. And he saw a popularity surge in 2011 when he won the Yukara Grand Prix. He got 280,000 votes, and in 2012 alone, he has generated over 1.8 billion yen, or 120 million US dollars in merchandising rights.
Now, one of the reasons that he is so popular is that Kumamoto decided that you can use his products for free on anything made out of that prefecture. So if you grow it, you produce it, you've created it in Kumamoto, you can use Kumamon as part of the branding and advertising for it without needing to pay licensing fees, which helps really encourage this creative industry and production out of Kumamoto and creates a single unifying brand for all of their products. And that really helps skyrocket his popularity, because otherwise you might have, if you're from another prefecture, and you want to use that prefecture's mascot, you would have to maybe pay for it, pay a licensing fee, create your own thing. So this decision to make it this free thing for the prefecture really helped, really make it a solid, iconic brand. As far as 2018, foreign businesses are allowed to use Kumamon's face if they're promoting Kumamoto. He had a minor role in the video game Yokai Watch 2 and the associated movie, and he's even got his own YouTube channel.
And I think since I've made this panel, he's got a YouTube channel. He just released a US CD. I think it's on iTunes now. But he's got kids CDs, he's got music CDs, he's been in video games. Again, just how much popular he's been just promoting Kumamoto Prefecture itself. So now we're going to kind of take a look at some of the different shapes these mascots can take. So we'll start off first with some cute ones. This is a Kuroto-chan from Matsube Shirigekigano Prefecture.
There's the Octopus Shogun from the Highway Oasis service station in Awaji.
He wears an octopus as a hat. Oh, this is Kodo-chan. He represents the Kododen Kodohira train line. He is out for an afternoon with his lovely wife and child. These mascots have such backstories, they can actually have families. They get married, They have families they go through stress just like you do every day, so people can relate to these better. And of course, one of my favorites is Lapras of Miyagi Prefecture, because it does little scoots when it moves. It doesn't actually walk, it's like a little scooty across the floor.
It's got a little scarf on, it's so cute. I love these mascots, they're adorable.
Again, cities can actually license the Pokemon mascots for a fee to be recognized within their prefecture. So this prefecture perhaps has a lot of water around it, so they wanted Lapras. I've actually also seen, is anyone familiar with stamp rallies around Japan? Okay, so in Japan, what they did was, if you go to certain, you can get a stamp or guidebook and get stamps of certain landmarks around there. And Pokemon actually created manhole covers. So if you go to the different manhole cover stops, you can get a book with the different designs on it, and go, and when you see the manhole, put the stamp in your book, and try to collect as many stamps as you can. If anyone watches Charlotte in Japan's YouTube channel, she recently did some of the more recent, the Lapras rally. There was one with Meowth, I believe, and the different cat Pokemon, because that prefecture is open for cats. So again, Pokemon benefits and the city benefits from having these mascots around.
But while many are cute, sometimes things get a little weird. Some of them are kind of funny and clever. The Iwate Prefecture wanted to use Geodude, but as many of you probably know, Geodude is a Pokemon that floats. So what did they do? When they designed the suit, they put the Photoshop transparency checkerboard on the legs. So it's meant to kind of imply like it's floating.
Just kind of floating there, didn't ignore that.
Then of course we've got Toilet Coon, who is pretty self-explanatory.
He teaches toilet safety in disaster areas.
I don't think I want to give him a hug though.
There is also Midori Coon, who is interesting. He represents the Sanpu Real Estate Agency. He is a wrestler with a studio apartment floor plan for a face. And yes, he does wrestle.
Boom.
He wrestles other wrestlers or mascots to help promote the company. Baratsukan. This is Baratsukan from Nagata Prefecture. He's a walking fried fish, a Japanese amberjack or yellowtail perhaps, to be specific. His lower half is covered in breadcrumbs. That's kind of like the little skirt thing he's wearing there. And good news, he's single and ready to mingle if you're really into fish.
So you mentioned some of these guys can have families. Maybe you can join.
Now we're going to take a look at some of the scarier mascots. I believe these are known as the Cho Kawaii mascots, which means like scary cute. It's like a whole subgenre. This is Melon Kuma. He looks like Kumamon's scary cousin that got in an accident with a tree. Melon Kuma represents Yubari City in Hokkaido. The city itself is known for melons and bears. So
Hence Melon Kuma, literally melon bear.
why not? The bear kind of changed into a monster after eating a bad melon, and now chases and will attack other mascots at gatherings. He's known for kind of biting the faces off. And we have, there he is, he's kind of one that does the Zenkaikon sometimes. But then there's Gaijiro from Fukusaki, Hyago. He is modeled after a mechanical kappa in Tsukiyama Park, and this will attack humans to get their magical organ, which is known as the Shinkaro Dama, or your backside gem.
They believe the soul is in the rear. And I will leave it at that.
He wants to get it and eat it.
So we've seen strange, we've seen scary. Sometimes there's just ones that are just weird. Because like, you gotta just ask me why.
This is Nazu no Sakana, which is the Chibi-Loda Marines. They are a Japanese baseball team. And this is a short name for him is Chibi-Loda. He is a fish with two forms. He starts as the bottom one there, the happy, bubbly, kind of like angler fish. And then at certain points he will vomit out his skeleton. And the skeleton is kind of like their second unofficial mascot, just kind of runs around the field and does gymnastics. It was a very limited run mascot in 2017, and then we had to say goodbye as he went back to the ocean. but it's hinted that he will return someday. And he is to Japan kind of like the Philly Fanatic is to Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. And he did come back recently, I believe the late 2019s, for a short run because he was missed so much. But the other baseball mascots aren't a fan of his popularity, and during a gathering of the NPB, the Nippon Professional Baseball Society, at their halftime show, mascots of the rival team chased it around, pulled the skeleton out, and started smacking it with nets. They weren't really happy with his popularity.
So for all this craziness with mascots, as we kind of alluded to earlier, it's not easy to jump in and just do it. So there is actually an official mascot school in Japan known as the Choco Group Mascot Actor School. It's the only mascot school in Japan, founded in 2005 by a retired mascot actor by the name of Choco Ohira, based out of Western Tokyo. She portrayed Pori the Mouse for over 10 years in the NKS's Okasan do Isho, and kind of wanted to teach others the skills and talent needed to portray these characters in these mascot suits, especially as right around that time is when the industry really started to boom and take off. And when you've been doing it for so long and you see so many other people want to do it, you want to kind of pass on what you know.
But you don't want just anyone jumping in these suits. It's almost like an art. Because if you throw anyone in there, they're going to get injured, you're going to have lawsuits. If they don't have the right training to wear these suits or make the right moves, it's also going to reflect badly on the prefecture. If they're too goofy and just keep falling into the river, that's not good for the suit, that's not good for the actor, and again, lawsuits out the yin-yang. But this woman who runs the mascot school, this is almost like being akin by a puppeteer being trained by Jim Henson himself. She is that highly regarded, and she trains students that want to be mascots. Or if you're a current mascot and you want to get even better, get higher paying gigs, you can take classes to get your skills refined, learn new dances, learn how to take care of your costume better. And they also act as kind of like a booking agency. If a new zoo is opening and they want a lion mascot, they go to them and say, who do you have that has these skills that we can use? If you're just having a festival and you want just a general mascot, they say, who do you have that represents, maybe you want a takoyaki running around? Who can run around in a giant doll costume? Because each actor, they match the actor to the needs of what the festival has. Again, they send the students out to store openings. If there's a new family mart, maybe they want a mascot. School events, anything and everything in between. Some of these students have gone on to achieve fame. Again, you've seen Kumamon, Pikachu. They don't put just anyone in these outfits. And the students range anywhere from teens for an after-school gig to even retired seniors. So it doesn't matter your age, they will find a suit that fits you.
And this training is really important because we mentioned they need to be kind of goofy and cute and awkward, but it's actually very difficult to do that stuff intentionally. I know they say that one of the hardest things for an actor to learn how to do is to act badly on purpose. So there's a whole lot of really strict rules with this mascot training. You're never supposed to let anyone see you change. Nobody should be able to look at you and go, oh, you're the mascot. You want to make sure that you are, once you're in that suit, that is all anyone recognizes. The suits need to be fitted in such a way that you show no skin. You really need to keep the integrity of the character going at all costs. There should be no verbal talking or interactions. Character selection is often based more on height and build rather than gender because it really doesn't matter. When you're acting as this character, you are the character. You are not yourself anymore. And, no matter who you are, you do need to have a pretty good fitness level in order to perform the routines in these large, heavy, hot, poorly insulated costumes.
You can't skip leg day.
And, while you're doing it, you need to keep both a sunny disposition and, upbeat, positive movements. It's easy to tell if you're just kind of dragging along and, bopping back and forth as opposed to something more energetic and intentional. So you need to always keep that stuff in mind. So that is some pretty serious training that needs done.
So what does a typical class kind of look like if you're going to mascot school. You don't just like, if you're trained in Persian Park, go strap on that candy bar and off you go. It actually starts, you have to start doing stretches, maybe a little light yoga. Everyone will learn an upbeat dance number, and then you put your costume on. It roughly takes 30 minutes to get into these get-ups, and then you perform the same dance with the same enthusiasm you had before you put the big floppy suit on. And then at the very end of class, you have to clean, deodorize, and store your costume. Like, they take it very seriously. You don't just come in, get all your makeup done, and off you go on stage. You learn every single process of this, so you can do anything and everything.
However, mascotting is not without its risks. You have problems with things like when you're in the costume, you're not going to be able to see very well. You're not going to be able to move very well because they can be difficult to function in. The suits, as we mentioned, are heavy and you're going to be sweaty and kind of clumsy because you have this very limited range of movement in this big thing. You know, there's the risk of breaking character if you let all this stuff get to you, which is what a lot of this training is for.
And remember, with the age of YouTube and social media, you're being filmed every minute. If you don't like kids, this is not the job for you. You can't have Pikachu just smacking a kid upside the head because he hung on and clung on to him too much. Or if he turns around too quick and his tail whips a kid in the face, you can't have that happening. That's why you have your handlers with you to kind of keep everybody back, and they have signals to say, hey, I need a break. Like, they'll tap them on the shoulder, or they'll do some little secret thing like, I need to take a break right now. And they'll say, all right, Pikachu's got to go take a nap. See you in like 5 minutes. So then they can kind of guide them off the screen, and they don't catch Pikachu just having a cigarette out in the street.
And you need to be really patient because you need to be able to, even if you give that signal, you need to keep in character the whole way until you're fully secure and away. You need to be comfortable being recorded and photographed. You know, you need to have a good interaction and relationship with your handlers because they're always going to be with you and you're going to be pretty much dependent on them because otherwise you get stuck in situations like this.
You get stuck in the Shinkansen line. A lot.
A lot.
These are all the places, elevators, small doorways, and again, we got Yokai in the corner, he's stuck, the vending machine's stuck, Pikachu's getting poked in the face by a handrail, and you have to be happy during this. I saw one of a giant Kirby, and he was still bouncing, trying to get in the elevator. He's got 2 handlers pushing him from behind, 2 in front of him, pulling him in this thing, and he's still, hi, and then that guy in there must be like, oh my god, get me home. But you can't let that show. So, just a couple fun facts about mascots. You can actually have a mascot wedding if you so desire. Unfortunately, my husband did not want that, so we didn't have that.
Hey, we did get Uncle Yo.
We did get Uncle Yo, so thank you, Uncle Yo, for that. But Uncle Yo dressed as a Pikachu. Oh, really awesome. Anyway, the Pikachu will appear at the ceremony. There's male and female available. Kumamon also likes to appear at weddings, but he likes to steal the bride. He thinks he's a little bit of a hotshot. There he goes. This woman in particular wanted a mascot wedding. She's got all different plushies around her as her shawl, and Kumamon tried to propose to her, but I guess her love for her husband was a little too much, and he didn't win. But again, you can use costume mascots dressed as lions to practice a drill. What if the lion escaped? What do we do? So the lion will chase handlers around, and they have to practice capturing this guy in the lion costume because you need to know what to do for emergencies. And mascots also do some crazy stuff in costume. They ride bikes. There we got a monkey escaped. But I've seen the mascots riding bikes, shoveling snow. Kumamon recently was on a horse. I don't know how do you do that? And the Cup of Noodle is shoveling snow outside the museum to kind of show the spirit everyone pitches in. It's insane. It's a giant, you're wearing a giant cup and you're trying to shovel snow. I don't know, these take insane skills.
So we mentioned that there are some of these mascots that have interactions and storylines, and some of that can often mean they can be retired. The Kajuku Islands had a pair of mascots, Butsu Butsu-kun and Butsu Butsu-chan. They both wound up retiring due to concerns that they might have for people that have skin issues or skin diseases based on the way they looked.
Or also ageism. Maybe they were seen as offending the elderly.
Mascots, as we mentioned, can be married and have families. You know, you can even have wedding ceremonies for these characters. They're more than just a cute face for a product or a location. They are this living, changing embodiment of what they are representing.
But as with everything, there is sometimes controversy with mascots. Is anyone here familiar with Shinjo-kun and Chiton that was on Oliver?
Last Week Tonight by John Oliver?
We're gonna tell you, this is what inspired this panel. So the original Chiton is this lovable little otter you see on a giant slice of bread. And everyone in the city of Susaki fell in love with him. He actually became the official mascot of Susaki in 2016. And, I think he can speak, so. He actually became, this was his mascot. They made a whole new mascot out of him. And he's an extinct otter that wears a ramen bowl for a hat. He actually won the Yu Yu Card Grand Prix in 2016. And Chitan's production company actually created Chitan the Fairy Baby as kind of a co-partner for Shinjo-kun here to help increase that otter's popularity. Again, there's Chitan, the kind of Tamil with the turtle hat, and Shinjo-kun with the ramen hat. But Chitan went a little rogue.
So Chiton started making some kind of weird little YouTube videos and YouTube shorts. They were often kind of creepy or almost violent, almost like the old TV show Jackass for anyone who remembers them doing just kind of the crazy, often self-injuring stunts. And even because of how crazy and risky some of these stunts were, she was asked by Square Enix to promote Just Cause 4 by performing some of the risky stunts the characters do in the game in the mascot suit. And to the point we talk about these characters being alive, where there were people that were concerned that Chiton was being a bad influence on Shinjo-kun. Like, these are mascots, but people were treating them as if they were real, living, breathing characters and people having these interactions together. In 2019, there were over 100 complaints filed against Chiton because of concerns that she was being bad for Shinjo-kun.
Many were mistaking Chiton for Shinjo-kun, so the government just completely cut ties with Chiton. They're just like, get out, we don't want you anymore. And the government tried to actually sue Chiton for copyright infringement for taking Shinjo-kun's design. That's how seriously they take these things. And it just continued to spiral downwards until John Oliver picked up the story on Chiton, which then caused another surge in popularity for Chiton in America. So not only was she popular in Japan, now America goes, what the heck is this? They have these things running around doing stunts? This is crazy.
Oh, but it gets crazier, because when doing the story, John Oliver and his company created Chi-John, who traveled to Japan in order to become friends with Shinjo-kun.
Because Shinjo-kun had lost his best friend to the internet popularity.
So, interestingly enough, Susaki did actually wind up adopting Chi-John, who, if you can see, looks kind of like John Oliver, as an unofficial mascot, and Chi-John still lives in Susaki today. It's been said that Chiton has actually challenged John Oliver and Chi-John for the prize of Shinjo-kun's friendship, but as far as we know, Chi-John has no longer responded.
So that kind of brings us to the end of our panel. We do have a few minutes left if we want to try to play some of our videos with some bloopers from some of these mascots.
So you guys want to watch some funny videos before we finish up?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look. These were embedded in our panel, but unfortunately, they are not being very, PowerPoint's not being very nice today.
They worked yesterday. They decided not to work today. Nobody likes being around at 1 a.m. So we talked about small Ame. We're gonna...
Small Ame, adorable. Again, this was a fan-created one that got adopted by the official HoloLive company.
up there doing dances with, some of these other mascots were officially produced and created by HoloLive originally, but this was a fan design that fit the cute aesthetic so much that they made it into a full-on.
There
Oh my God, she's got a gun!
That is her other, I think her official mascot.
Bubba.
Bubba.
Professional dog.
Yep.
There, her handler right there is also now known as one of the best girls.
Because people in HoloLive will be fans of everything.
Or if the internet has taught us anything, you can waifu anything. Even managers. Oh yeah, Yago, I remember himself.
Yago is the best girl.
That's a whole other story. See how happy she is? Even if she's angry, there's Yago. And there's small army creeping on Yago. But even if she's hot and tired, that actress or actor, it could even be an actor, and there has to be upbeat and bubbly, and they're probably tired. That's a long event, and people taking pictures with you. You can't drop your personality.
We'll do a little bit of Cheeton.
Yeah, okay. We do have a clip of Cheeton. Oh, that was Chi. Yeah, that was Chi-John going to Susaki.
It was everywhere. On the stairs, on the sidewalks, on the walls, and in the streets. On his way, Chi-John introduced himself to all the local fish. This is the path that falls at Shinjukun's feet. This is the breeze that cools Shinjukun's face. This is the sun that warms the rubles that Shinjukun wears as a hat. And knowing this filled Chi-John with joy.
Again, that's a great clip to see just how popular they plaster these mascot faces everywhere.
So we mentioned that Cheeton did some weird stuff. This is the video known as Cheeton Comes to Your House.
Cheeton basically does everything mascots are not supposed to do. Like putting a baseball bat in the leg of your costume.
So we talked about the importance of the handlers in case something goes wrong and how you need to stick in character. This is a pretty good example of that happening.
Even when you do try to signal, sometimes it don't work.
Let's see, what do you think? Oh, here we go. This is a similar one, and it's very interesting to see how quickly some of these handlers can act and how it's almost like Secret Service getting you out of there.
He's right up front too. Nintendo takes their image very seriously.
But you see all the other ones, they keep going, they keep dancing.
They can't stop to help him.
Even if the center position Pikachu has a problem, you need to keep going. You need to be able to stay in character. You can't break. It reminds me of when I would be in marching band back in high school. Any former band geeks in here? Yeah, no matter what happens when you're out there on the field, you cannot stop. You cannot slow down. You have to keep going. And it's just like that for the mascots. Go see some Scoots.
You're just Scooty. Scooty.
Let's see, we got time for like one or two more.
Yes.
Do you want to do the...
Yeah, okay. We do have a clip of Chivalone barfing out a skeleton.
Oh, look at that fish. He's so cute. He's a fish. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh god, shield the children's eyes. It's okay, sweetie. The fish is alright. Yeah, this is where he gets insane. He just does gymnastics up and down the field. I couldn't do that. I could sing. And here we just have something kind of fun we found on the internet.
Just a cute fun one to wrap things up.
Training to get in that line from 2x2 to 1x1, limited sight,
and keeping that back and forth perfectly in sync.
The ears. See all the handlers they have? They help with crowd control, they help keep it on the line.
Because you can't stick out. If you're part of that Pikachu parade, you gotta be the same as all the other Pikachus. Well, it's getting close to 2 in the morning, oh my goodness. And we really appreciate you guys coming out here. Anyone watching online, thanks for sticking around for the rest of the panel. We hope you guys had a great Friday and Saturday at Zenkaikon, and we got a whole another day of the convention left to go. It's great to be back at conventions. Hope everyone has a safe trip back to your hotel, back home, walking upstairs, whatever you're doing when you're done here. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Let Zenkaikon know that you liked us because we want to keep coming back.
Yes, we love Zenkaikon.